4. This is the regular commission meeting of LAFCO. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Go ahead and do roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Bickle, Commissioner Gorley, Commissioner Kong,
Here.
Commissioner Leffel,
Here.
Commissioner Lopez, Commissioner Oglesby, Commissioner Velasquez, Vice Chair Root Askew, and Chair Craig.
Here.
And Commissioner Bickle is entering the room. Thank you. We have a
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Gorley, would you lead us?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. We'll go out to the public. Does any member of the public wish to comment on items not on today's agenda? Anyone may address the commission briefly about items that are not on today's agenda. Do we have anyone in the public? All right. Do we have anyone on the interwebs?
Chair Craig, there's no one on Zoom.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We'll go ahead and close public comment. We'll go on to consent. All items on the consent agenda will be approved in one motion. May I have a motion to approve, or if a commissioner wishes to pull an item, please do so now.
I move that we approve the consent agenda, all 5 items.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Leffel, seconded by Commissioner Gorley. Call for a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Gorley,
Just as legal counsel, I'm just going to ask for just a quick hold on that roll call vote. Can we just take a 2-minute recess so I can speak with our chair?
absolutely.
Okay. I'm in trouble. I'll be right back.
That's what my confusion was. I apologize.
Okay, so you're the one in trouble then.
I did it.
It's all right, I'm just teasing. All right, call for the consent agenda vote, please.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Gorley? Yes. Commissioner Leffel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kong?
Yes.
And Chair Craig.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to new business. We'll consider a potential update to the Public Employee Annual Performance Appraisal Program, and we will receive the Executive Officer's report.
Thank you, Chair. This report will be presented today by Jonathan Brinkman, our Senior Analyst.
Thank you, Chair Craig and Commissioners. This item is a follow-up item from the May 20th, 2024 meeting. As requested by General Counsel, we've brought this item forward for discussion today. It's from the closed session and during the performance review of last meeting. There's some discussion about the process of how public employee annual performance appraisal is conducted. As requested by council, this item's forward for your discretion. It is the discretion of the commission to amend or change or update the process. And as the recommendation of council and staff has been to set up an ad hoc committee that would review the process, bring back options and present their findings and make a recommendation to the commission on any updates to this performance review process.
Excellent. Anything further from staff on that?
That's all.
Okay. I'll go to the commissioners. Does any commissioner have questions on this item?
Yeah, I think just one of the issues.
Your microphone.
Yeah, I think some of the discussion that followed up from the closed session. It seems like we had some questions about it being the calendar day or the end of the budget cycle, and were we behind on getting the evaluation done? And should we next time start a little bit earlier in the process? That's kind of what I remember from our closed session discussion.
Okay. Looking to my left, any commissioner have questions on this item? And for the record, commissioners and supervisors Askew and Adams have joined us at 3:07, so thank you. All right, I will go ahead and close questioning. We'll go out to the public. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? All right, seeing none, I will.
I would take the recommendation to establish an ad hoc committee.
Okay. And we'll seek approval on that. We'll need to make a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any further comment from the commissioners? All right, seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Adams? Aye. Commissioner Gorley?
Aye.
Commissioner Leffel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kong?
Aye.
Vice Chair Root Askew?
Aye.
And Chair Craig.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Excellent, thank you. All right, we'll go on to the next item. Now, let me switch over my iPad here. All right, consideration of the draft 2024 Municipal Service Review and Sphere of Influence Study for 3 Soledad Area Special Districts. And we will receive a report from the executive officer.
Thank you, Chair Craig, members of the commission. The author of the draft study in your meeting packet is Darren McBain, our principal analyst. So he'll be providing the presentation today. Also, I'd like to acknowledge that we do have 2 representatives here today from our Soledad Healthcare District, and I'm sure that Darren will introduce them. So, thank you, Darren.
Yeah, thank you, Kate, and thank you, Honorable Chair, members of the Commission. We have a municipal service review and sphere of influence study for you today. I'm just going to start with a quick overview of essentially why LAFCO has prepared this study. Let's see if we can advance to the next slide. While Jonathan's bringing that up, basically MSRs have 3 main purposes. One is to meet LAFCO's statutory requirement to periodically review services and spheres of influence of all cities and special districts in Monterey County. The second one is to inform the public about agencies' services and accomplishments, as well as challenges they experience in carrying out their work, and also occasionally deficiencies that sometimes that have been identified in a few cases. The third reason for an MSR is that the process of preparing an MSR is an outreach opportunity with the goal of assisting local public agencies to operate efficiently and in compliance with state laws and best practices for special districts. The scope of this study includes the Soledad Healthcare, Recreation, and Cemetery districts. It doesn't include the city or the Fire Protection District, for which LAFCO did an MSR in 2022 and 2020 respectively. So they've been recently studied already. The 3 districts in this study are independent public agencies with their own autonomous governing bodies, meaning their own boards of directors that are either elected or appointed. But their district boundaries do include the city of Soledad, and in fact, city residents make up about 95% of the in-district population, although the vast majority of the land is within the unincorporated county. Those unincorporated lands are rural and pretty sparsely populated, of course. For each of the 3 districts, the study looks at district facilities and services, governance, staffing, compliance with state laws and best practices, district finances, and the boundaries and spheres of influence of these agencies. The study takes these factors into account and develops some key findings. The first key finding is that the healthcare district and the recreation district are reliably and effectively carrying out their services and are generally complying with the requirements of state law. So this includes requirements related to adopting annual budgets, completing audits of the district's finances, holding public meetings in compliance with the Brown Act, developing policies and procedures, and so forth. However, for the cemetery district, the study documented significant deficiencies, both in terms of keeping up with legal requirements and in terms of operational issues and problems on the ground that have included complaints of after-hours noise and partying at the cemetery, vandalism and maintenance concerns, possible double selling of cemetery plots, leading to complaints, from the community. There have been complaints about it being very difficult to get a response or even get a hold of anyone at the cemetery district to address these types of issues. And all of these have been a source of distress and frustration in the community over the last year or so. So that's just an overview of key finding 1 there. The second key finding is that all 3 of the districts do appear to be financially stable. In other words, all of them are at least in a break-even position or with a small budget surplus anticipated by the end of this current fiscal year. None of the districts are currently operating at a deficit. But that does lead to key finding number 3, which is that higher than average anticipated growth in Soledad in the future is going to place ever increasing financial pressure on these districts. And that growth, of course, includes the 654-acre Miramonte project that the commission approved in 2022, as well as other anticipated growth and just growth and development related to lands that are already within the city. But anyway, this is Soledad is a higher than average growth area of the county in the foreseeable future. Key finding number 4, for the recreation and cemetery districts, opportunities exist to integrate these 2 districts with either the city of Soledad or another public agency, such as one of the nearby public cemetery districts. Particularly with the recreation district, there has been a committee to explore potential integration with the city's recreation department. That effort has been dormant for the last couple of years, but there may be some potential related to that possible integration in the future. And lastly, key finding number 5 is related to the fact that the healthcare district is proposing a sphere of influence amendment to reflect the larger South County population and communities down there in South County that the district already serves, and also to signal the district's continuing ongoing commitment to support these communities and to to be a prominent and supportive part of the community. And in staff's analysis, the healthcare district's sphere amendment is reasonable, logical, makes good sense, and staff will be recommending approval of that sphere amendment. So that does lead us to recommended LAFCO actions, which are on page 10 of the study. Based on the information and analysis in the study, staff is recommending that the commission find the study to be exempt from California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, approve the study and adopt its recommended determinations, approve the healthcare district's proposed sphere amendments, and affirm the currently adopted spheres of influence of the recreation district and the cemetery district with no changes. The study is recommending that the commission authorize the executive officer to proceed with corrective measures to address the cemetery district's non-compliance with state legal requirements and best practices. And the study also recommends some additional actions that are on this next slide here, which will give you a summary of. The study is recommending that the commission encourage some follow-up steps here. For the healthcare district, the study recommends, healthcare and recreation district, I should say, study is recommending that the 2 districts explore some potential revenue enhancement measures. These include, but are not necessarily limited to, establishing the district's own development impact fees that would apply to new construction taking place anywhere within the district in the future. This recommendation could extend to potentially working with the city to participate in development agreement negotiations or any potential future citywide bond measures or other types of revenue enhancements that could occur in the future. The overarching idea here is to offset the impacts of future city growth on the district's services and facilities. For the recreation and cemetery districts, the study recommends that the commission encourage the recreation and cemetery districts to basically fund a feasibility study in coordination with the City of Soledad to investigate the possibility of integrating district services into the City of Soledad's operations. And really, there's a range of possibilities here, depending on further study. Some of the possible outcomes could include the City of Soledad providing sort of high-level administrative and financial oversight to these, to one or both of these districts, or kind of on the opposite, more advanced sort of end of the scale. It could extend to basically the city fully providing all services and operations on the district's behalf. But the basic idea here is to seek increased efficiency and economies of scale by looking to the possibility of integration of city and district services. For the cemetery district, the study recommends that the commission encourage the district to coordinate with the City of Soledad to see about possibly going back to holding monthly cemetery district board meetings at City Hall if possible, along with some other recommended steps that are listed out within the study. And lastly, the study encourages the County Board of Supervisors to consider, and key word there is consider, taking over as the cemetery district's governing body if significant issues remain unresolved after approximately 1 year. I should point out that would be an unusual step, probably has not occurred in this county before. It should also be noted that the district has mostly new board members who do seem very sincere about turning the district around and making the district a positive and supportive part of the community. But the idea of the County Board of Supervisors starting a process to essentially take over as the Cemetery District's Board of Trustees is an option that exists under state law for cemetery districts and is a possibility that's available if significant improvements are not made with regard to the cemetery district. I just wanted to say a few things about preparation of this draft study. It has been a collaborative process involving the 3 districts and some other local agencies. Staff consulted with representatives of the 3 districts to develop an initial draft of this MSR. We shared the initial draft with the districts for a review and comment period of about 2.5 weeks. We integrated the district's comments, suggestions, and updates into the revised draft that we distributed to everyone last week and which you have before you today. Staff also consulted with the City of Soledad management staff, the County Auditor Controller's Office, and Salinas Valley Health leadership regarding the Soledad Healthcare District's sphere amendment. We tried hard to make this a very accurate and complete report with an open and honest process, and staff would like to truly thank the district representatives for their time and support in helping LAFCO staff with this effort and bring this work product here before the commission. And of course, those district representatives do include Ms. Ida Lopez Chan on behalf of the healthcare district as the chief executive officer, and also we have today Greg Stevens, who is the chair of the district's board of directors. So thank you for your support and being here today.
Excellent. I'll go to my right for commissioner questions. Any commissioner have questions of staff?
Can we break it down to the 3, so we do cemetery, recreation, and healthcare separate, since they're separate reports? They're integrated, but they're separate. Can we do that?
Sure, we do have all the recommendations through the chair. Commissioner, are you thinking in terms of the recommendations or?
Just asking questions?
Yeah, and asking questions
sure.
and discussing, because could we just stay on one track? Because it's hard when you keep going back and forth, like healthcare's good, cemetery's bad, recreation's so-so. So I'm
That's,
just,
yeah, that's fine, but what I'd ask is that you ask all of your questions of all healthcare, all cemetery, so that we're not going 3 full rounds of questions and comments, if you don't mind. So,
Okay.
so go ahead.
so I'll make a couple comments. One, I fully support the change of the sphere of influence. I think that they serve the entire South County. I have friends from Carmel who have been down there multiple times. So I think really they serve the entire region. And I think that's important that we allow the sphere to reflect the fact that they really are providing, and this is the health care, they are providing for everyone. And I'd like to hear from Anna on this down the way since it's her city, but I think it makes sense to combine the recreation with the city in a way that they could work together and maybe eliminate one management position and have people work together, if that's at all possible. And for the cemetery, that's been going on for a long time, that dysfunction, and I think it's so disrespectful to the community that they cannot find a place to put their loved ones and not have it vandalized or not have an issue with it. That's, for me, just kind of crazy. So I think giving them 12 months, even with a new board, I think if our staff works with them, or if we get someone from CSDA to work with them, giving them 12 months, that then the Board of Supervisors might consider doing something about it. I think 6 months would be sufficient. It's been brewing a long time, and I just think it's really sad for a city to have a cemetery that's in that type of position. So, and also their websites, they're totally out of compliance on almost everything with that cemetery district. So those are my thoughts as I went through these reports. And I want to really commend Ida and Greg for the turnaround with the healthcare, because I know it was in really dire straits, and I know it took a lot of work and it took a lot of guts to make the decisions that you all made and that you stuck with it. So I think the whole community benefits from what you did, and I really thank you.
If I may, Madam Chair, I just wanted to jump in and mention, just related to what Commissioner Leffel had just touched on. I didn't quite get to this very last slide here, but I just wanted to mention that as part of our next steps, we are suggesting that staff will continue to coordinate with the cemetery district and hold a compliance progress review meeting with a cemetery district representative or 1 or 2 cemetery district representatives in approximately 3 months to see and check in on progress with completion of audits and compliance with some of these other very important state requirements of state law. The next step, I didn't mention it here on the slide because we just wanted to kind of give a high-level overview. But anyway, we are suggesting a 3-month compliance progress review meeting. If there hasn't been substantial progress towards attaining compliance in 3 months, then 6 months from now, or 3 months after that compliance meeting, we would be discussing, looking to kind of take next steps with regulatory enforcement agencies. Most typically, that would most probably be the auditor controller's office. And although this would be more unusual, it could also include the district attorney's office or even the civil grand jury, possibly to kind of put more heat on the cemetery district to get into compliance. And we are also, just as a side note, suggesting that we will bring forward to the commission an update on this entire situation and implementation of these recommendations about 6 months from now. Very similar to, actually both of those things I just said, the compliance next steps and the updating the commission would be very similar to what staff is actively engaged in working on now with the Greenfield area districts, where we had similar issues as part of a review last year, and this also relates to an update that we're bringing forward as the next agenda item today, which is an update on the progress with the Greenfield area districts.
Thank you. Commissioner. Yes.
Thank you. As part of this process, would we have an opportunity to hear from the districts who've been studied before we adopt the report? Is that typical? Could we invite, do we have anyone from the healthcare, or from the health, we have folks from the healthcare district. Do we have anyone from the cemetery or the recreation district?
I was going to allow questions and then allow them to speak.
Okay. And then I guess the other questions that I have you kind of addressed is what would the next steps LAFCO would take in terms of making sure that we're supporting compliance, and for the cemetery district specifically, if there was sort of approaching the point where we needed to have board of supervisor involvement, is that something that is initiated by LAFCO to the board of supervisors, or would we need to initiate that independently?
To that last point, actually, Supervisor, Commissioner, that option of the Board of Supervisors considering initiating sort of a takeover of a cemetery district's Board of Trustees is provided under state law. It has always been available to the county board. It always will be available to the county board. There really isn't any LAFCO action that would be required to initiate such a process.
Okay, so maybe technically not, but who would take the lead on that? Would LAFCO reach out to the county board, or we're sitting here, so that's for us to follow up on? I guess from a more procedural standpoint.
There could always be coordination between LAFCO staff or commission and the county board, but independently, the county board could always initiate such a course of action.
Great. And then I'll just comment, I had an opportunity to take a tour of the Soledad Healthcare District, at least a couple of the facilities, and was really impressed with the level of commitment that it appeared on behalf of the board, the leadership, and the providers who are providing care to the larger community. So I think this is a step in the right direction, and grateful that we've got good healthcare providers serving our entire community. Thank you.
Go to my left, Commissioner Oglesby.
Thank you. I'm trying to understand this. It says, if we adopt these recommendations, it says encourage the county board of supervisors to consider. How do we do that if we don't take an official step?
Well, just it's included within the study, and so the study includes asking the commission to adopt these recommendations. That's one of the recommendations in the study. So I think as long as that recommendation and that encouragement is with that timetable and the way it's listed out in the study, if the study is adopted as it is by the commission, then I think it could be deemed that the commission has provided that encouragement to the county board of supervisors to consider that step.
Okay, I'm going to ask the executive director, what does that mean?
Thank you, Commissioner. What I think it means is that we want to give an opportunity to the Cemetery District Board of Trustees to make these corrective actions.
No, I understand that. My question is, if we adopt these recommendations, how would LAFCO encourage the County Board of Supervisors to look into this and do whatever they want to do? But how do we do that if we don't take an official act by contacting them and talking to them as a body, as opposed to them individual members sitting on this dais, or they reading the minutes of our meeting?
Oh, I got it. We would not be expecting the individual commissioners who serve on LAFCO to take that role. What I would expect that we would do at a staff level is to work with different County of Monterey departments, their leadership on these issues, such as the Auditor Controller's Office, potentially District Attorney's Office, potentially the CAO's office. And then if those corrective actions were not happening or not happening in efficient, effective manner in the next few months, then as part of those conversations that we are having staff to staff, I would expect that request to come up through the county administrative office or one of the other county offices that we would be reaching out to. So we would continue to work with the county on this. County staff. Thank you.
Commissioner Velasquez.
Yeah, thank you so much for this. I just want to say thank you to all the LAFCO staff that put this together. Thank you, Darren, for a great job in just articulating all of the different components of each review, and then also outlining, I think it's a great job outlining all of the corrective actions. And I do want to say, as part of the Soledad Community Healthcare District, and thank you to Ida Lopez-Chan and the board as well, because there has been a lot of work that's been done in the last 2-3 years, and there's been a lot of concerns that have been addressed already by the board as well. And so I know the need in healthcare is really extensive, especially in South County. So being able to include a larger sphere of influence, I think it's a great thing because they're doing it already. So just making that official, I think it's really critical. And in terms of working with the Soledad Mission Recreation District and looking at whether the city can, if there's some type of resolution that we can work with the Soledad Mission Recreation District, I think it was articulated in the report as well that the city has invested the last 2 years of trying to find different mechanisms and governing structures that would work for both entities. I think that's going to continue to, we're going to continue to have dialogues on that. But as many of you know, the city did institute its own recreation department 2 years ago. And I know in our conversations previously with the Soledad Mission Recreation District, their board wanted to remain autonomous, and they wanted to make sure that they still, had their autonomy to be able to provide programming. I think for us, we're looking at, for our, to be honest with you, our residents don't care where the services are coming from, if they're coming from the city or from the Mission Recreation District, because to many of our residents don't even know that there's a difference. So I think for us as elected officials and as leaders is making sure that the services continue to be provided to our community and what's the best way to do that. So we have entertained those conversations. We'll be happy to come back to the table to look at what is viable for both entities to be able to continue to serve our community for the needs that we have, especially as a growing community. In regards to the Soledad Cemetery District, I have to agree with Commissioner Leffel. I think it's important that they come to a conclusion in terms of how they're going to service our community members and be able to really abide by the requirements of the state law and be able to look at the best practices that have been stated in the report and really work towards that. It's been, I'll tell you, it's been a long, and for me, just in the last 3 years with our community members, and I think even beyond, on a personal level and also with the residents, it's just been really egregious, some of the happenings that have been conducted at the cemetery district and by some of the districts. I'll say some of the disregard of the concerns that have come to us as a city council, but also, to other community members. So I think, they've been provided with information. I know that the board, it's been really difficult because there's been a lot of turnaround in the board. I'm hoping that this last appointments that were made to the board, they seem to be really interested in turning this around and really working with the community. So I'm hopeful that given the parameters that were set here and giving that we're going to come back and look at the progress every 3 months and then also report to the commission in 6 months, I think it'll help us. So that way we're capturing any of the issues that are happening before. So we're not here a year later trying to figure this out again. So I think that gives me hope to be able to move forward with some of those recommendations and also providing some of those support systems that are needed for those individuals that are elected to be part of the board. But I totally agree. I think that our residents from Soledad deserve a cemetery board that is, that is high functioning and that can really meet the needs of our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from commissioners? If not, I'll go to our representatives. If you'd like to come on up.
Afternoon. Is it on? Yes. Good afternoon, Chair Craig and Commissioners. My name is Ida Lopez-Chan. I'm the CEO of the Soledad Community Healthcare District. As mentioned, Greg Stephen, our board president, is here along with me. First of all, I want to thank Kate and Darren, and I want to thank you for the time that you guys spent with us over the last few weeks and months. I want to thank Darren for his hard work and dedication to the process. He made it easy to work collaboratively in drafting this MSR report. As you guys recall, our last MSR report was in 2012, so it's been quite a number of years since we had an MSR report, nearly 12 years by now. One of the biggest things that came out of this MSR report is the expansion of our sphere of influence. If I can just give you just a sense of why this is so important, not only to the district, but our community, is the fact back in 2012, we've seen an average about 28,000 patients in a year or encounters. That more than quadrupled. We're at 82% or growth of 23,000 more encounters to approximately 51,000. So that just gives you an idea of what happened in the last 12 years, and think about what will happen in the next 12 years as our city's annexation of Miramonte has happened and the growth and development. This sphere of influence expansion will just allow us to continue to providing that quality and high value care that our community so deserves in our farm working community. This sphere of influence also recognizes the critical need in the Soledad area. We are designated as a federally government area for the medically underserved and the medically underserved population. This designation identifies areas and population that have limited access to personal health care. And that still remains today. About 75% of our population is Medi-Cal and Medicare. And so we do serve them proudly, our community, and we're proudly serving not only the ones in our sphere of influence, as you've seen in our study, but beyond. The medically underserved populations include groups that face economic, cultural, and linguistic barriers. And we face those every day, and we don't ever want those to become a reason that our community doesn't receive the healthcare that they deserve. So we want to continue growing with the city as well as with our community. So we have made it, and a part of our budget and our plan is to have a mobile clinic that will allow us to move up and down this sphere of influence that we've now seen here as a recommendation. We also want to remain local. I think that's important. We understand what our community needs. As Mayor Ana Velasquez has mentioned, we need to remain cognizant of that. And so we can do that through our healthcare district, remain local. Other things, we want to continue expanding our services. One of the things that you guys know is that we provide therapy to our community if they come and stay at Eden Valley. But we are fortunate enough where we just added a comprehensive team that is going to provide therapy at a very high acuity of service, which you guys will hear more about in the next coming weeks. And we'll have a celebration and an opening for you guys to meet our therapy team. Secondly is we're back to tradition. One of the things that we were not able to do is have our soda shop. And those that recognize us, soda shop is a gathering place. It's a communion place that people come together from students to the community to our residents. We've had that closed for a while. That's now reopened. It's gotten a facelift, and you'll hear more to come, and hopefully you can come and celebrate the reopening of our soda shop. So a lot of great things happening at our district. We appreciate all the support. On behalf of myself and the board, we thank you for this report.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? I noticed that we didn't start a timer, so you got a couple extra minutes there. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and close public comment on this item, and I'll come back to the commission for action. Oh, thank you on the interwebs.
Chair Craig, there are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, all right. Mission accomplished. We'll come back for action.
I would recommend that we adopt the resolution. Do you want me to read it?
Is it the staff recommendation?
Yes, the staff recommendation.
All right.
The only thing I am asking about is that timeline. I just think 6 months to have them get it before we would ask for a change when it's been going on for so long. It just seems like a year is too long.
I think, part of the recommendation is that staff's going to come back in 6 months. So I think we could probably make a determination at that point about next steps. Are you okay with that? Or would you like to make that part of the recommendation be 6 months?
Well, I agree with Commissioner Oglesby that encouraging and considering are such weak words that that's just like, hey, guys, maybe you should look at this. Those words have no teeth in them. They have nothing, absolutely nothing. So if we're going to encourage, I would like to encourage in 6 months instead of 12.
Second.
All right. Motion made by
Thank you,
Commissioner
thank you,
Leffel
Wendy, for.
and seconded by Commissioner Oglesby. Any further discussion?
On the question, I did want to get, I thought the work that Vasquez said something about that they were not comfortable, Solidat necessarily was not comfortable trying to look into, what was it, 4B, continue to explore potential partnership with the hospital trustees. I thought she said she had indications that didn't make sense to them. Am I misinterpreting?
Yes.
So are you comfortable with all the recommendations? Because I thought you said something different.
I'm comfortable with the recommendations, I think. My chair, through the chair, I'm comfortable with the recommendations. I just think, I know that we want to make sure, and I'm with you, I want to make sure that our community, especially in the cemetery district, really those corrective actions take place sooner than later. I just think the 6 months process to be able to determine, they're going to come back, and I think that's what the staff is requesting, that they come back the 3-month reporting and then the 6 months. So I think by the 3-month reporting, we can kind of already show or see whether they're making progress. But I think for the actions that they need to correct, some of them could be more immediate than others, but some of them are going to take a little bit longer. So, I know that there's new board members that have come on board. So the 6 months, I'm comfortable with the 6 months to come back as a status of the study, and then making a recommendation at that time, leaving it as is recommended by the staff. Just to allow for that, because I think it does give us some tooth to be able to come back and make any changes that need to be changed within that 3 or 6 months period.
Commissioner Oglesby.
I just finished, I stand with my second. I thought I must have misunderstood. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Oh, hi there.
Hi there.
Sorry.
Yes, so hearing Mayor Velasquez's comments, I would like to make a substitute motion to adopt the staff recommendation with the existing timeline.
Okay, so we have a substitute motion made by Commissioner Adams on staff recommendation with no changes. Do we have a second? I'll second. Okay, seconded by Commissioner Corley. Any discussion on the substitute motion?
Yeah, I won't support that. I think 12 months from now is too late to come back to talk about these same things. If things are moving, 6 months from now is the time to make a decision. To bring it back 6 months, yeah, I don't support that 12-month delay.
Okay, any further discussion?
Is there a reason why you would prefer 12 months over 6 months?
I'm going for 6 months.
Are you looking at me?
Yeah, your motion was to go with the original 12 months.
No, it's the original, they're coming back in 3 months and will update the commission.
So
We just get
point of-
clarification on the motions on the
Yeah.
floor. I'm confused now.
So if I may, or actually, you know what, I'm going to defer to the executive director just so that she can be very clear with it. But the staff recommendation is to come back in 12 months, but there is a update in 6 months. That was what the original staff recommendation was.
That's correct. We'll be working with the cemetery district. We will be holding a meeting and coordinating with them at 3 months to see what progress has been made. The goal is to come back here to this commission with a progress report at 6 months. The reference to 12 months was to a separate item, and that is the ability, the authority of the Board of Supervisors of the County of Monterey to step in at any time to begin a process to disband the current trustees and set the county supervisors as the governing body. So I think the idea is that that conversation really can begin to happen somewhere by around 6 months. We're going to know by 3 to 6 months how things are going. And we'll be having dialogue with these various county departments. And so if at 6 months it's not looking good, there's no reason why collectively at that progress report period, we can't say, well, it looks like we need to begin proceeding and recommending that to the county.
Okay, so but
somewhere
for-
between 6 and 12 months.
I was
that
going to say,
decision
for
would be made.
clarification, the staff recommendation says within approximately 12 months is to make the recommendation to the Board of Supervisors.
So perhaps it would help if we say that within 6 to 12 months. Just give us that window there.
Okay.
That
Is
would
that
help.
clear as mud for you, Commissioner
Yes.
Adams?
And I'm happy to amend my language to say between 6 to 12 months.
Okay. And will the seconder of the motion? Yes. Okay. That's the substitute motion, is the staff recommendation. But the caveat is for 5D, that they would encourage the Board of Supervisors to come back between 6 and 12 months. So that is the substitute motion. Call for the vote. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Adams?
Aye.
Commissioner Gorley? Commissioner Leffel?
No.
Commissioner Oglesby?
No.
Vice Chair Root Askew? And Chair Craig?
No.
You forgot Mr. Kong.
Excuse me, Commissioner Kong?
Aye.
Motion passes.
It passes.
Okay, so substitute motion passes. There you go. All right, with that, we will go on to the next item. Executive Officers Communications, and we have an update on the Greenfield Area Special Districts.
Yes, thank you, Chair Craig. Is agenda item number 8. You do have an information report from your staff. We are reporting on progress that has been made by 3 special districts in the Greenfield area. Similar to the Soledad area districts, we did identify last year the need for corrective actions on the part of some of the Greenfield districts. This report indicates that satisfactory progress is being made. We're grateful for that, and we are especially grateful to the County of Monterey and the County Council's office. That office has been contracted to provide legal counsel to all 3 districts and is, in my view, a very effective conduit for getting these actions taken care of. So, thank you.
All right, we'll go on to commissioner comments. Any commissioner wish to comment briefly on matters within the jurisdiction of LAFCO? All right, seeing none, we'll go on. We have a closed session item pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1. Does any member of the public wish to comment on closed session? All right, anyone on Zoom?
Chair Craig, no hands are raised on Zoom.
All right, then we will go ahead and adjourn to closed session. Yes.
As a member of the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District, I will recuse myself from this item of closed session.
And I, as well as a member of the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District Board, will choose to recuse myself.
Excellent, thank you. I appreciate the interruption on that. So sorry, I would have called on you both. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and recess to closed session. Thank you.